Have you ever stopped and thought that your job only really values a tiny piece of who you are? You know, that all your best stuff, your ideas, your connections, your passion, just doesn't fit on a timesheet? Well, today we're going to dive into a project that's trying to flip that script. It's an adventure in co-creation called AMORia Stars, and they're building a new kind of community, something they call a club unity. And it really all boils down to this one powerful question. What if the value you create wasn't just about the hours you punch in? Just imagine a system that actually recognizes your network, your wisdom, your vision, even the care you bring to your work, and sees it all as real, tangible assets. That's the world AMORia is trying to build. And this right here, this is their core philosophy. It's a total reimagining of what the word capital even means. They're building an economic engine that sees you as a whole person, not just, a cog in a machine. It's a system designed to reward the full spectrum of what we bring to the table as human beings, which is a massive shift from how we usually think about work and value. Okay, so how does this actually work? Well, it all starts by looking beyond the traditional paycheck and reframing the whole thing, not as a company, but as a living, breathing ecosystem. Now, for an ecosystem like this to actually survive and thrive, you have to be able to measure what truly matters. And that brings us to their core logic, the contribution reward engine that really powers this whole system. The whole system very cleverly balances two different kinds of value. So on one side, you have the quantitative stuff, the concrete things like time and energy, all measured in standard units to keep things fair. But on the other side, you have the qualitative, and this is where it gets really interesting. This is all about your reputation and your impact, rewarding those crucial, intangible things like your vision and the care you put into your work. So, on the quantitative side, things are pretty straightforward. The system uses a standard unit, 144 hours, to represent one full-time month of contribution. This creates a really clear and simple baseline for everyone involved. In that time, it translates directly into tangible value. Those 144 hours are valued at over 8,000 euros, which are then rewarded in the form of something called AMORia bonds. Now, you can think of these bonds as your long-term stake in the project's success. We'll talk more about those in a minute. But you can see the clear link: time in, value out. Okay, so if that's the numbers side, how do they measure the unmeasurable? It's not about logging hours. It's all about impactful actions. Your reputation grows when you bring new, like-minded people into the community, or when you vouch for the quality of someone else's work, or when you actively help shape the community's direction. It's a system built on trust and real-world impact. So all of this comes together in what they call a personal journey of co-creation. Let's actually map out what that looks like and see how someone can go from being just a curious visitor to a core steward of this whole ecosystem. That journey is built around 4 really clear stages of reputation. You start simply by joining. Then, as you contribute more, your reputation grows, and that unlocks more influence and more rewards. You can move from contributing to leading, and maybe, eventually, all the way to stewardship, which is a position of really high trust and responsibility. To make this a bit more real, let's meet a few people on this journey. So, imagine Julia. She shows up as a guest, a conscious traveler. Just by participating and then sharing her positive experience with her own network, she becomes an ambassador. It just goes to show how even a light touch point is a valuable contribution. Then you've got Elena, who joins the crew. She's a specialist who's brought in for a 3-month project, what they call a quest. Now she gets rewarded with liquid tokens. Think of that as cash she can use for her immediate needs, but she also gains reputation, building her long-term standing in the community.
And finally, let's meet Marco, an operator. He's part of the operational heart of the project. His consistent daily energy is what keeps everything running. And over time, his contributions steadily build up both his reputation and his long-term stake in the success of the entire ecosystem.
So, we've seen the philosophy and we've met the people, but what are the actual tools that make all of this possible? Well, it all runs on a 3-layer technology stack that powers this entire regenerative economy. Let's break down the 3 layers of this economy. At the top, you've got the financial rail, for things like daily payments and cashing out. In the middle is the real economy rail, where you can use special tokens to book stays or buy goods right there within the community. And at the very foundation is the contribution rail, powered by that AMORia bond, which represents your long-term stake. And here it is, that core asset, the AMORia bond. It's designed to be way more than just a financial paper. It's a proof of stewardship. It represents a kind of trust that goes beyond systems and a type of value that goes beyond currency, really uniting everyone who's invested in the mission. So what does this bond actually get you? Well, a share of the economic upside, for one, financial protection if the company is ever sold, and, crucially, it gives you a voice, a real seat at the table in key community discussions. It's a bridge to deeper roles, and it's literal proof that you co-own the outcome.
Okay, this is a really powerful model for one community, but the real vision is much, much bigger. So how does it scale? The whole thing is designed to be a replicable model for a global regenerative future.
The key to that scalability is this concept: the modular regenerative engine. The best way to think about it is like an open-source franchise kit. It's a portable framework with all the policies and reward systems we've been talking about, allowing new communities anywhere in the world to adopt and adapt the model for themselves.
And this is where it all comes together. The system tracks real-world regenerative acts, things like restoring an ecosystem or generating clean energy, and it translates that positive impact into trusted metrics. By connecting these local actions to a global financial system, every single one of those contributions creates tangible, recognized value.
This brings us to the ultimate purpose, and it's captured perfectly in this one line, where capital serves life and life multiplies value. It completely flips the traditional script. Instead of life serving capital, capital is put in service of regenerating life, which in turn creates more holistic value for everyone. So we end right back where we began. This model suggests the future isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we get to co-create together. It argues that all of our contributions, our wisdom, our networks, our care, they all have real, measurable value. The only question left is, what will you contribute?